Colleagues, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence this morning. The purpose really of today is to share information on skills development, and also is to try and encourage maximum participation of our levy payers and our non-levy payers, as well as our training providers and all those key stakeholders that hold important constituencies in this sector.
Ladies and gentlemen, the province has grown and the strategy has also been shifting. I think if you recall, when we all started, we're mainly focusing on skills, learning, getting kids at school and then getting them to be employed. But now we're slightly changing that narrative. But we're still continuing focusing on our ICT, electronics, telecommunications, media, and advertising. And our unemployed learners, we're doing quite well. See the completions, you will see them at the end. We have 681 that have started, and there are some that have completed already. So that number is actually big if you were to take 2018, 2019, and if you were to include this one, that's a huge number. We all have one vision, and the vision is to ensure that our learners are trained. Putting them into programs, the aim is to reduce the unemployment. The aim is to ensure that we have capacitated people who have competencies either to start their own businesses or maybe to be employed. But we becoming to notice that there's a trend of a growing number of learners that have been through our programs that seem to be staying home after the programs are finished. So that's a concern, and we may have to find ways to, talk about that one, the poor retention rate. Our companies also, we understand they would give opportunities, train learners, expose some, retain some, absorb them within their workforce, but some would be out in the streets. So it's something that we may need to talk about.
I really would like you to build and rebuild and refocus and realign this SETA. I really need you to go back and think of special projects, as you said, that will help this country build local talent, harness local skills for local production. If you visit the Stats SA website, you will see that the imports are going up and the exports are stagnant. But we've got so many universities in this country that can't produce graduates that are good enough to make an impact on those imports. As and when we get proposals for special projects, some of them will be declined because they don't talk to our vision. And if you come with a special project to train people on drones, how to fly drones, I will decline it. Rather submit a proposal to make drones. Then I will approve it. So it's very critical that when you think about these special projects, you think about how we're going to be a competitive country. How will this project make this country competitive? I just wanted to give you a taste of the things we are now focused on as MICT SETA. And we can talk about the other positive things on 4IR and priority skills after T, but I also wanted to talk to you about some few issues. I always make a joke that you can be corrupt at SAB so that there are less beers on our streets. You can be corrupt at British American Tobacco so there's less cigarettes on our streets. But don't be corrupt when it comes to education. Don't ever do that. And I am catching them one by one. And I'm eliminating them. You know the past we come from as a SETA. And there are serious challenges that are inherited at the SETA. And I'm trying to clean up the SETA. When you have a problem of SLAs being issued before vetting, it's not going to happen again. When you have vetting being done desktop in your own office, and you submit a report 3 hours later that I've vetted this company, it's never going to happen again. Why? Because when we do visits, we don't find the learners on site, which means we've been paying ghost learners. When we do visits, learners have not been paid, but you've been paid. They are stipends. When we do visits, learners are not at workplaces on a 70-30 program where 70% is practicals, 30 is theory, and the program has got 10% left in its life, and learners are not at workplaces. We need to eliminate that and make sure that the people we work with are accredited and they want to be part of the change. That's very critical for us. We found that in the past, as a SETA, we have overcommitted on some projects. Overcommitment is not a bad thing, but you can't overcommit to a tune of 300 million. And that overcommitment comes from just disobeying your own funding guidelines. A learnership may be 146,000 Rand, but you come with your proposal, we're more than happy to fund it at 340,000 Rand. It's a no-no. And we're going to scale it back. And we'll be writing letters to you. If you're part of them, we're going to be scaling back. Where we've breached our own rules, we will tell you we have, and we need to correct it. Before we can collaborate with the universities, before we can collaborate with TVET colleges, etc., let's just make sure that we work with the SETA that we want to see. Because after this meeting today, when we're having our beers down the road, someone will say something to somebody and say, "Ish, but the SETA has got a problem. If it can solve this problem, it can get to the right path. There's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. These little skeletons." I'm saying, talk to me here in front of everybody. Don't go and have a beer down the road later on and talk about my skeletons. Talk to me right now, because I know you know them. Our learner programs, ladies and gentlemen, they do need to be revised. I was very glad to have met Grant, the CEO of Dimension Data, and when he shared with me his scorecard, and he said, "Mdu, we are a global organization and we want to compete globally. And here is my scorecard. Here is my next growth plan to grow Dimension Data. If you as MICT SETA can give me skills for that new division, now we are talking." And that's the kind of conversation I want to have. Don't tell me that I must tell Dimension Data to train people introduction to Excel. Don't tell me that. Now, the skills that they need in the new division are complex, deep stuff. And this country can do it. It's got professors that can write these things. We can do it. If I can own your growth plan, fantastic. The universities, let's have a discussion around your course content. Because some of the graduates that the industry is getting, the industry is not happy. And we as the SETAs must now work around that. As SETAs, don't say, work around that and make these people ready. When they get there, they can't even open a computer. Let's have a discussion in TVET colleges, community colleges, and universities. Let's have an honest discussion about what you teach, what this country wants going forward.